Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You've got your boys, Bert, the Hurt Locker, investing like a boss, V, Vanguard, and you got Lanny here, the Dividend Diplomats, guys. Hopefully you caught yesterday's video going over the six and definitely one surprise dividend increase that has happened over the last week. But Bert, today we're talking about a stock that's crushing it already here in 2024.
Absolutely crushing it. But before we talk about this stock, crush that subscribe button. Please subscribe to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Help us help you reach financial freedom and join along our ride to early retirement because that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about, guys. We're talking about a stock, though, that yields over 6%, but is up almost 9% this year. We're talking about a stock that's increased their dividend for almost 20 years. We're talking about a stock that earns over 130 billion in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
For what stock are we talking about today?
Verizon, ticker symbol VZ. And this is a remarkable turnaround company. It's incredible that they're up 8.77% after the sector has just been beaten down over the last few years. Telecom companies and wireless companies were the darling of dividend investor portfolios for such a long time. But over the last couple of years, they've been in a rough spot. A lot of people started to fall negative on the companies because of those growing debt loads, because of the rising interest rates and the impact of debt heavy balance sheets might have on future dividends and the large dividend yields that investors enjoy. It is fantastic to see Verizon actually up and showing some signs of life right now.
Congrats to all the shareholders that were possibly gobbling up shares at $30 a share back in
Mm-hmm.
October. And I think there were even times when they were that low back in the summer, maybe
Yeah.
July, if I'm looking at the stock chart right, guys. But historically, over the last, for sure over the last 12 months, they've really been trading in that low to mid 30s. But man, they have just had a break. They've had a breakout 2024, entering the ring just at around $38 a share. But now they're up 8.77% over $42, currently at $42.29 a share. They released earnings, Bert.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's a mixed earnings. Obviously, they talked in the beginning about the positive things, but they trickled in some of the things that everybody could see or should know.
Yeah. That's right. So let's start going through them, peeling back some of the layers and just talk about it. Total revenue. Let's start all the way at the top of that income statement. Just a few billion, a few shekels, as they'd like to say, $134 billion of total year-to-date revenue. So down 2% overall. So not the best top line to start with, down 2%, but there was some devil in the detail there. Year-to-date revenue from the wireless sector was $76.7 billion, up 3%. So you see some signs of life in the wireless sector, which Verizon lost some ground in over the years to AT&T, who is aggressively coming after them with cheap prices and the huge competition they face from T-Mobile and the merged Sprint with them. So it's great to see that wireless revenue coming back up for Verizon.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm sure there's been some sort of price increase on consumers to help make up for that. But also, I mean, they had some great growth from the number of ads that they've added
Mm-hmm.
in the fixed wireless, up 31%. In the postpaid phone net sales, they're up 26% from the number of units. So really firing away on the wireless and postpaid phone. But the interesting piece here, Bert, you and I were chatting a little bit about it, is the free cash flow. Over 37.5 billion for the year, up against prior year, 37.5 billion of free cash flow. Just something about that just seems insane.
Yeah, and that's probably a huge catalyst for the stock price appreciation because you can do a lot with that free cash flow, whether it's paying down debt, reinvesting, and to keep competing in the capital intensive sector. It's just fantastic to see nearly 40 billion of free
Yeah.
cash.
And what they did in Q4, they also took a massive impairment charge of almost 6 billion on goodwill. I actually pushed them in for a net loss for the quarter. but then that should be setting up for a very solid 2024. Management even said expectations right now are between $4.50 to $4.70 for 2024. Market has reacted very well.
Mhm.
So, Bert, we got to run them through a certain dividend diplomat stock screener here to see if Verizon is looking attractive still at the price of 42.29.
That's right. So let's run them through that price to earnings ratio less than the S&P 500's that first metric. Second metric, payout ratio less than 60%. Third metric, history of increasing those dividends. And then that bonus metric, the dividend yield. Let's kick this party off. Let's look at that price to earnings ratio for Verizon. Lanny, hit them with the left.
Boom. All right. We're going to use expectations of $4.57. Happy to see that on Yahoo Finance, right in that range. So on the 42.29 price point, they're at a 9.25 price to earnings ratio. Still very undervalued for a stock.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's look at that dividend. Their annual dividend is $2.66. It's a payout ratio of 58.21%, right at the top end of our range, but still below 60%, and a lot lower than I honestly was expecting going into this analysis.
5-year growth rate, 2%. They're one of those, the old historical AT&T dividend growth, historical RIP. 2% dividend growth rate, but doing it for 19 years. And I know, Birdman, we should have really been gobbling it up in the low 30s, mid 30s, because that yield was somewhere around like 8%.
It was, but now it's at 6.29%. So still very strong compared to many other companies and the S&P 500.
5-year historical dividend yield average is 5.19%, so you're still getting 1.1% premium. Let us know, by the way, if you were buying Verizon during the summer, during the fall last year, gobbling up that income. Let us know if you were enjoying that from Big Red.
So let's summarize it here. PE 9, payout ratio 58%, 2% 5-year dividend growth rate, 19 years of increasing dividends, 6.29% current dividend yield. Lanny, what is your initial thoughts here on Verizon? What are you thinking, Chico?
Initial thought is I'm enjoying the ride. I do have over 140 shares of Verizon, so I do have a very substantial position. I'm pretty much at like almost a break even point right now with Verizon. That was part of the reason why I wasn't gobbling up so many shares, because I already had over 100 shares. So it was hard for me to add more. I'm not adding more. I guess I did get some dividends reinvested at the low prices throughout the year.
Mhm.
But man, it's great to see Big Red come back.
Yeah, it is. And look, I should have added more too, but it's just great sometimes to see one of your stocks in a rebound story where it's just a feel good. It's a feel good story, and it's nice to see. We could have added to a lot of stocks while they were down. There are tons of them. There are thousands of stocks where you look back and like, man, I should have. But you know what? At the time, you do what you think is best for your portfolio. And for us, that wasn't investing in Verizon, but today we're just tipping our cap, enjoying the successes, and happy that a company we own is performing very well.
What about you guys? Are you guys buying Verizon stock? Are you still trying to add this passive income producing stock here that currently yields well over 6% still? Let us know in the comments below.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. And Landon, what we got to tell these fools on this Sunday?
You're either with us or you're against us, Jack. That was Bert, the Hurt Locker, and Lanny from the DD over and out.